All right, guys, we are going to get started with our morning ELA work. We are on Wednesday, October 13th. We're going to, in ELA, be reading Sled Dogs Run. And then on your own, you guys can do the Cold Dog Hot Fox. We're going to be looking at your CRC workbook pages for Sled Dogs Run. And then on your own, you guys can do it for Cold Dog, Hot Fox. And then we're going to be doing your turn practice workbook pages 57 and 58. And then on your own, you guys can work on your 5 things. If you need a review on how to do your 5 things for this week, on Monday at the end of the video. So let me just show you guys. If you need a review on how to get to your spelling, vocabulary, grammar, mechanics, and selfie writing, you're going to click on Monday's YouTube video, open it up. And then you see that it's an hour long, right? Now you don't need to watch the whole thing to get there. You can move the video to where you want it to be. All right, guys. So I'm going to drag it. And then you see how up here at the top, it kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at. And then here as well, you can kind of see that little tiny box. So I want to get to the your turn. So I'm going to just, there we are. So how do I know? I'm sorry, not the your turn, the 5 things. How do I know that this is the 5 things? Because it shows me in my pictures. Here's the spelling and the vocabulary. Here's the grammar. And then mechanics, I forgot to show it to you, but I went over it again right here. And then here's the selfie. So if you need help with your 5 things, I go over your 5 things right here. So around 28 minutes. Around 28 minutes, I go over the 5 things. I show you where to go. I show you how to take your test. And then around 33 minutes, I go over your vocabulary test. I go over how to do it. Then in around 40 minutes, I go over your grammar game. And then in around 43, I go over mechanics, but it's blocked. So you kind of have to shuffle through to 45 minutes. And then I go over your mechanics, which is commas in a series this week. And then around 50 minutes, I go over how to do your selfie writing for this week. And I give you guys an example of what to write. So remember, for your selfie writing, you are doing 4 to 6 sentences. You should not be writing 1 or 2 sentences. That is not okay. Make sure you guys are indenting, which means you're leaving that space at the beginning of the paragraph. Use transition words, use complete sentences. And then I show you guys how to do all of your selfie writings for this week in this YouTube video. All right. All right. Let's move on now to your reading. So I'm going to open up Class Dojo. Sounds like somebody's partner just came in. You can write your name in the chat if you see a partner. Or write their name, sorry, that's what I meant. Okay, let's go ahead and go here now. So this is your big book. This is the book we are in today. It is called your Literature Anthology. So if you have your big book, your Literature Anthology, please take it out and turn to page 110. If you don't have your big book, your Literature Anthology book, what you'll need to do is you're going to go to Google Classroom. Let's make sure I'm in the right account. I am. You're going to click on the waffle, which is the 9 circles. You're going to go to McGraw-Hill Education. McGraw-Hill Education. From there, you're going to click on your blue book that says Wonders, Grade 2, and it'll have that swordfish on that book. Once you click on that book, you are going to go to Read, which is the blue button with the red book, blue button.
Read.
And then you're going to find the story that we're reading today. So today we're reading the story, Sled Dogs Run. sled dogs run. If you want to follow along in your own book, it might be easier to see the words. So I recommend following along in your own big book. So there's sled dogs run. All right, we're going to go ahead and read Sled Dogs Run together.
Genre: realistic fiction. Sled Dogs Run by Jonathan London. Illustrated by John Van Zyl. They were born in the spring, fat, tumbling puppy balls full of fresh puppy smell and puppy life.
And then don't forget, our essential question for today is, how do animals survive? Read about sled dogs that live in a very cold environment.
There was Skookum and Hawk and Bamboo. Here in Alaska, in the far north, Skookum means smart. See how Hawk and Bamboo chase him but can't catch him, says Papa. He will be the leader. Now in summer, the training begins. Sled dogs run. That's what they live for, to run and pull. First, they wear a harness to get used to it. Then they pull a small log, bouncing and skidding behind them. In the fall, they pull a cart for the first time. Papa runs behind me. I call out, Skookum, Hawk, Bamboo, good dogs. For now, they run with older dogs. I can't wait till the first snow.
And then let's go ahead and do a stop and check. So I know you guys are focusing, so I'm going to pause my video. All right, let's continue.
In the winter, the snow comes, white on white, as soft as owl's feathers. I lie down in the softness and make a snow angel, but my dogs are eager to run. And by February, they are ready to pull as a team, with me as musher. My first solo run. Mama heats up a sloppy stew. The dogs must eat fast before it freezes. Mama gives me a hug. You will love the quiet, she says, and the oneness with nature. You will love the speed, Papa says, and the sense of freedom. When I come with the harnesses, the dogs go crazy. They run in circles, howling and crying and yipping with joy. Hitched to the gang line, they are raring to go. Mama says, be back by dark. In the north, in the winter, dark comes early. Papa says, trust the dogs, they will know the way. I pull the snow hook and shout, hike! The sled feels like it's leaving the ground. Whoosh! We're off. The dogs straining, tugging, running out before me, huffing puffs of breath. We are racing cloud shadows. We are racing a snowy owl. We are racing the wind. We spook a snowshoe hare and fly after it. The sled whips. The runners shush. The collars and snaps jingle. Hair disappears into white. The dogs smell moose and go after it. Moose stops and turns around, fire in her eyes. With one kick, a moose can cave in a rib cage. That's what Papa says. I yell, ha! And my dogs swerve left, away from the moose. I yell, gee! And my dogs swerve right, their keen noses scenting the trail. I hear a howl. Is it the howl of wolves? The hair stands up on my dogs' necks. No, it is the howling wind blowing the snow sideways. I hang on to the sled handle for dear life. The storm is a hungry wolf eating up the light. Just as we hit a frozen lake, we are blinded. We are lost.
All right, I'm going to pause the video to do this stop and check. What does the girl mean when she says they are blinded? Let's use our vocabulary strategies to using context clues of asking and answering questions to figure out what they mean when they say that they are blinded.
But I remember what Papa says. Trust the dogs, they will know the way. The dogs are my eyes. Through the snow-blind world we drive. All I hear is the howl of the wind and the boom of the lake ice shifting. Skookum, hawk, bamboo, take me home. Suddenly the wind dies to a whisper and the air clears like a clean window. Whoa, I call. We come to a stop. Good dogs, good team. The sun is down and the full moon is rising, tipping its golden light. When my dogs stop panting, there's a silence as quiet as owl's breath. Then I see beyond the long blue shadows of the spruce, lights, our cabin in the woods, home, and we become a part of the night and the moon and the snow and the trees, and we run. Skookum, hawk, bamboo, hike. We run to keep up with our hearts.
All right, and then the next 2 pages is about our illustrator, who is the one who drew all of the pictures, and then our author, who is the one who wrote the book. We're going to skip through the responding to the text. If you would like to read about Cold Dog, Hot Fox, you guys are more than welcome to. And then that is going to be it. Wolf Wolf is next week's story. Okay, so it is only just 4 pages. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to do our CRC workbook next. So for your CRC workbook, you are going to need this book. It's going to be this book. It says Close Reading Companion, and it's going to be your swordfish. And then it's going to be holding this W Wonders key, and it's like fin. So look for your Close Reading Workbook. If you don't have that book, I also downloaded it for you in Google Classroom. Go to classwork, and then it's going to be under ELA. It's going to say Close Reading Companion Wednesday, and it's going to open up the link for you to write it in. Now, the only bad thing about this is sometimes it doesn't save your work. So if you ever want to look at it later, you won't be able to do that. It's nice for you to be able to do it on the computer because you can follow along with me. But if you want to keep it for your records, it might not always save your work. So if you want, you guys can always do it on a separate sheet of paper if you don't have your workbook. Okay. And then we are working on getting you guys your workbook still. I did speak to our principal, and I know that I believe that all of the books have been organized and sent to, I believe, Tracy High School. And so there's a team of teachers working over there who's going to help distribute those. So you guys will be getting a call hopefully by next week on when you can pick those books up. Okay. All right. So it looks like somebody accidentally turned it in. Remember, we don't turn in we don't turn in pretty much any of these in ELA or our resource links because these are all going to be open projects. Okay. I wonder, I can't even unturn this in for you. So Brayden, hopefully you have your CRC book. If you don't, then I'm going to have to assign it to you a different way. Okay, so don't turn them in because once you turn them in, you guys can't work on them again. And these are all open assignments that you guys need to continue doing for the remainder of the year. All right, let's go ahead and open up your CRC. I guess another place that you can go is right here, but again, it doesn't save your work. You can go right here to the reread Sled Dogs Run right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the answers page. Okay. So what you're going to do is to find your CRC's answers is you're going to go to your resource links. It's going to be the second one from the top. Click on CRC answers. Once you click on your CRC answers, you're going to scroll down till you hit page 34. And then you're looking not at these pages right here, but you're looking at these pages. So this is 30 and 34 right here. Okay. So how does the author help you understand how it feels to ride a dog sled? Look at the illustrations on page 119 to 121. Talk about how the girl might be feeling. So let's go back to page 119. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to write 119 and I'm going to click enter. So let's look at her face. Ooh, she looks very excited. Even the dogs look happy.
I pull the snow hook and shout, "Hike!" The sled feels like it's leaving the ground. Whoosh! We're off. The dogs straining, tugging, running out before me, huffing puffs of breath. We are racing cloud shadows. We are racing a snowy owl. We are racing the wind. We spook a snowshoe hare and fly after it. The sled whips. The runners shush. The collars and snaps jingle. Hare disappears into white.
And then a snowshoe hare is just like a type of animal, very similar to like a rabbit. And this snowshoe hare is white, so it blends in with the snow so that it's harder for its predators to capture them. So here, look at the illustrations, which we did. We reread it, write words from the text that describe what riding a dog sled is like. So a ride on a dog sled, we have the words like whoosh, they're racing. There was a lot of repetitive of that word racing on page 119. We are racing cloud shadows, racing a snowy owl, racing the wind. They're flying, and then there's whips. So the text and illustrations show me that riding a dog sled is like flying because the sled moves so fast. The girl feels free, like her father said that she would. And how do we know that's what her father said? They are ready to pull as a team. Mama gives me a hug. You will love the quiet, she says, and the oneness with nature. Papa says, you will love the speed and the sense of freedom. And she is loving it. Look at how excited she is in these pictures. All right. The next one we're going to do is we are going to look at page 35. Okay. Now, if you guys need more time on this, I know I'm just going to be showing you guys and going over it. So you guys are going to have to do this on your own and filling them out. So I will try to end our ELA time a little bit earlier so you guys have time to do that during ELA. However, we are not teaching science for the rest of the week. Okay. So because of parent conferences, there is no science. You just have to get your incomplete work done. So I'm going to go over all of the missing work that we have after, I believe after math. So anything that you don't get done, if you don't get this done, if you don't get your turn pages done, if you haven't got some incomplete work done, then during that science portion for that hour at the end of the day, that is not time for you to play games. That is time for you, or like other games like Roblox or Minecraft, or watching, silly YouTube videos. What you need to do during that time is you need to come back and make sure that all of your incomplete work is done. Okay. All right, let's move on to page 35. How does the author's description of the storm as a hungry wolf help you understand what the girl is feeling? Look at the illustrations on page 125. Talk about what it shows. So I am going to, at the bottom of my page, click 125, and then I'm going to reread it.
I hear a howl. Is it the howl of wolves? The hair stands up on my dog's necks. No, it is the howling wind blowing the snow sideways. I hang on to the sled handle for dear life. The storm is a hungry wolf eating up the light. Just as we hit a frozen lake, we are blinded. We are lost.
All right, so use clues from the text and illustrations to write how the girl feels during the storm. So what do you see? You see the snow blowing and she's closing her eyes, because very similar to what one of our friends said today when I was asking them about what it means to be blinded. She can't see. There's so much wind and there's so much snow that she has to close her eyes because it's blurring her vision. What you read is that the wind is howling. And usually when the wind is howling, that means that it's very, very strong. If you guys have ever been, if you guys ever woke up on a very windy day, you'll hear like the wind hitting your house and it sounds kind of scary. When the wind is that strong, you'll hear it. And then the snow is blowing sideways. And so the girl is blinded. If you've ever been in rain and you're maybe underneath like an umbrella or something, but when it's coming sideways, not only is that rain falling, but it's still, there's no way to block it because it's coming from all sides. And that's when you know that the weather is being kind of crazy. So now we know that the girl is feeling sad. She might even be feeling scared. The girl compares the story to a hungry wolf because she feels like a hungry wolf would eat up the girl and her dogs. The storm could eat them up and they would lose their way. That's how she feels. She's scared. How do you know that the girl trusts her dogs? Reread page 128. Talk about the advice Papa gives to the girl. Okay, so here we have page 128. And it looks like, and we can't really reread page 128 because it's just a picture of her going home. Write the sequence of events from the howling of the wind in the storm to the time the girl sees the light from the cabin. So let's go ahead and go back then. Okay, so here's the howling of the wind, right? So event number 1, the wind blows the snow sideways. So you can see that the wind is blowing the wind sideways. The wind is blowing the snow sideways. Event number 2, the girl remembers what her papa said. And how do we know that? Let's find it. Ooh, this is where it was, not 128, 126.
But I remember what Papa says. Trust the dogs. They will know the way. The dogs are my eyes. Through the snow-blind world we drive. All I hear is the howl of the wind and the boom of the lake ice shifting. Skookum, hawk, bamboo, take me home.
So she remembers, trust the dogs. The girl remembers what Papa says. She's feeling afraid, but she remembers, Dad told me to trust the dogs. So she tells the dogs, event number 3, take us home, take me home. And so what do the dogs do? They end up taking her home. You know, the wind finally dies down, the air is clear, and then, you know, they're able to kind of relax, and she's feeling safer now that her dogs have gotten her out of the storm. And then she still lets the dogs take her. She trusts the dogs, and then all of a sudden she sees home. So I learned that the girl trusts her dogs because she remembers the advice her papa gave her. The dogs are her eyes. They lead her to the safety of her home. Now, that is going to be it that we're going to go over. So what I recommend is getting through those pages first. And then if you guys have time at the end of the day, so if you finished everything, it's science time and you've done all of your work, then I recommend you doing cold dog, hot fox. And then there's 3 of those pages, and then there's an integrate. And then what these blue pages, these blue lined integrates means is it usually gives you some sort of like poem or some side of like a reading or some side of art, some sort of art. And then it's something that helps you kind of compare and contrast the different types of stories that we read for this week. Okay. Now, the last thing that we have today is going to be your turn practice workbooks. So we are going to be looking at pages 57 and 58. If you have your turn practice workbook, go ahead and take it out. I know that we're kind of going through these rather quickly, but I think it helps for you guys to take it out when I'm talking about it, so that later on when you're doing it on your own, you guys are able to find the books easily. Instead of just looking at this and saying, well, I don't know what this book is. If you're following along with me right now, you'll say, oh, it's this book. Okay, I remember, I took it out earlier. And maybe you'll even have done a couple of the questions, so you have less to do later, okay? So take this book out. If you do not have that book, you're gonna go to Google Classroom, click on classwork, scroll all the way down, and then I opened it up in Kami for you guys. So go to ELA, and then the third one from the bottom in ELA says your turn workbook pages, and then here it is in Kami. So I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds to get that out. You're actually using your actual workbook or your turn workbook, then you're going to turn to page 57. If you're using Kami, you're going to go ahead and scroll down to page 57. It should, when you open up Kami, take you to the last page that you worked on. We're not going to do the beginning, middle, end. If you want to do it, you're more than welcome to. Okay, we're going to do 57 and 58. Okay, so for your genre, your visual elements for this week, surviving the winter. In the summer, Jerry saw a family of chipmunks in his yard. What would they do in the cold winter? Jerry looked up chipmunks' habits and learned they would hibernate all winter. So how do you know that this text is realistic fiction? We know because it tells us about, it's a made-up story. That's why it's called fiction. Fiction means it's made up, but it's realistic, which means that it has real things that could happen in real life. Like there could be a boy named Jerry. There could be a family of chipmunks that live in his yard. He could look up what happens to the chipmunks in the winter, and he could find on the internet that they hibernate in the winter. Those are all realistic things that could happen. Now, what would make this not a realistic fiction? What would make it not realistic if it said, in the summer, Jerry saw a family of chipmunks. They were building a home and were creating a store called McDonald's for Chipmunks. And he was able to order a cheeseburger made out of acorns. And when he ordered it from them, he had to pay them in jelly beans. And they said thank you and gave him his delicious McDonald's acorn burger. Now that would be made up because chipmunks can't talk. They can't make a McDonald's. They're not going to make burgers, and they're not going to say thank you. So those things are all unrealistic. Those things can't happen in real life, while these things can. Okay. Number 2, how does Jerry find out information about chipmunk habits? He looks it up on his computer. So not only does it say he looked it up, but we can also see in the illustration, the picture, that he's searching it on his computer. And then number 3, how does Jerry know the chipmunks will survive a cold winter? Because he looks it up on the computer. He researches about it. All right, it sounds like we just had another person join us. All right, Kendall, was it you that just joined us right now? All right, so it looks like everybody is here today now. All right, make sure you guys don't forget, we start class at 8:40, all right? So make sure you guys get here on time. Now, if you're not sure about your answers, what you guys can do is you can go back to classwork, go to CRC and your turn answers for ELA, click on your turn, and then you're going to scroll all the way to that page, and it will give you all of your answers so that you can check your work. My recommendation is don't just copy what it says here. I want you guys to actually do the work yourself and then see if you got it right. So let's see. It is the story that could happen in real life. The character Jerry could be a real person. Okay, that's very similar to what we wrote. I don't think we have to change what we wrote. How does Jerry find out information? He looks up the information on a computer. Very good. And how does Jerry know the chipmunks will survive the cold winter? Because he looks it up on the computer. And well, this one tells you how. He knows because he learns that they hibernate in the winter. So during the winter, when it's really cold, they hibernate, which means they stock up on food, they find a warm place, and then they sleep throughout the winter. So that even though it's super cold, they're snuggled up warm. And then all that excess food that they ate up in the spring and in the fall and in the summer is going to really help them stay warm, because it keeps that all of that food is going to burn up as like energy to their body so that they stay warm all throughout the winter while they sleep. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do our prefixes now. So our vocabulary strategy for this week is prefixes. We have been working on suffixes, which is at the end. Prefixes come at the beginning of the word. To figure out a new word, look for a prefix or word part at the beginning of the word. The prefix re, R-E, means again. The prefix un, U-N, means not. And the prefix dis means the opposite of, D-I-S. Read each sentence, underline the word that has a prefix, then write the word and its meaning. The others disagree. So disagree means the opposite of agree, because dis means opposite of. They look up but are unable to see anything. Unable means not able, because the prefix un means not. Its brown coat made it seem to disappear into the woods. Disappear means the opposite of appear, because the prefix dis means opposite of. The deer slips away unseen. Unseen means not seen, because we know that the prefix un means not. And then last but not least, the class retraces their steps back to the bus. Retraces means to trace again, traces again. And we know because the word prefix re means again. All right, guys. Now, I know that we have only about 11 minutes left. So we went over the Sled Dogs Run, our story. We went over the answers to the first few 3 pages of our CRC. We went over the answers to our pages 57 and 58 in our Your Turn. And then I also showed you guys where to go in your YouTube video to find your 5 things. So you guys have about 10 more minutes. You can get some extra work done before PE. If whatever you don't finish. So we didn't finish the CRC. We didn't finish Cold Dog Hot Fox. And then you guys probably haven't finished writing all those answers either. So what you need to do is during history science time, we do not have science today. We are not going to be doing science. So because there's no Zoom meetings at the end of the day, what you guys are going to do is you're going to work independently, asynchronously, which means you're not going to be on Zoom, but you're still going to be getting work done. So anything that is incomplete, you guys are going to do at the end of the day. Also, if you go to Google Classroom, go to stream, scroll down to missing assignments. You guys are going to see all of the missing assignments that you guys have. If your names are on this list, you need to double check to make sure that you're getting all your work done. Once you guys get it done and I check it, then I will delete your names. All right, guys?